Hey everybody, Brian Good here. Just sat down. Here's the latest on our Storm Talk. Get you through this weekend, and then we'll of course talk about Derby week. So let's get right to it. System of interest is actually two pieces to it for the weekend. We'll get into that. The moment is 71, hazy outside because of the next system already beginning to approach. So not exactly a beautiful sunny day, but it is dry and relatively pleasant. We've got some low humidity to enjoy. Now our system that's moving in from the southwest has got quite a bit of rain, even some lightning showing up around Paducah. Thunderstorms, though, stronger activity is going to stay to our south. The reason for that is the dew point. Here's a look at the measurement. You can see we have some, light amount of moisture is the best way I can explain it. But the deeper moisture way to our south, and that is where the thunderstorm potential is going to be over the next, I would say, 6 to 12 hours. These showers here will continue to approach our area, but should become more scattered and ease back in intensity because of the lower dew points that we have here into wave country. All right, so severe weather tonight is going to be an issue way to our south, not a big deal. Tomorrow gets closer to us. We become slightly more unstable, especially in the afternoon. Right now we're listed in the marginal risk. We'll monitor that carefully as we get more ideas on how much sun activity, some breaks we can get on Saturday. Sunday we're listed, it didn't display, but it is there, I promise. It's a marginal risk, basically along the river and south for Sunday. Okay, so let's get into Futurecast. For this evening, we'll have the showers break out. I think the balloon glow will be okay. There could be some raindrops, though, at the Fair and Expo Center during the glow, so prepare for that. But otherwise, not too bad of a forecast. Showers continue very broken in nature, and then we head toward the balloon race time period in the morning. East winds expected, spotty showers, but they do pick up, so the balloon race may get lucky. But the marathon, not so lucky. Rain will increase, lightning and thunder potentially. Then we become unstable. Then we start to see thunderstorms developing Saturday afternoon. We'll watch out for a few strong ones. Look at temperatures to our west in the 70s, breaking out in sun, 60s here. That is the key factor on whether or not we will see a slight risk move into our area for potential for damaging winds or hail. But I wouldn't worry too much about the outlooks. Just look at the overall setup. If we get some sun to break through here, we will have a chance for strong thunderstorms for everybody. It's just a matter of that instability, so keep that in mind. Now, as we head into Saturday night, whatever pops to our west, which will likely develop because the heat of the day in Paducah back toward southern Illinois, that activity will then move in our area throughout Saturday evening and approaching midnight. It can be strong, so we can't rule that out, but more of a heavy rain threat the way it's looking now with that batch, so we'll monitor that. Sunday. The model's not too excited on the activity on Sunday popping widespread, but I do exercise some caution here on this because I do see potential for some strong thunderstorms on Sunday. Let me explain. Here is the NAM high winds, or the wind level high up at the mid-levels. This is the ability to see any type of damage winds. This is for Saturday afternoon, evening. It's roughly at the threshold of about 40 knots over wave country, so yes, there is enough to support some damage and winds Saturday afternoon, night, so we'll watch that. As far as instability goes, you can see while the slight risk is basically drawn to our west. Here's Louisville right here. We're right on the edge of that, but it's based on the idea of whether or not we get sun into this area, so that's why we got to monitor the I-65 corridor. We could see that increase a little more than indicated. Now, Sunday, wind shear is still there, not as impressive, but what is more impressive is the instability develops, and we have capes approaching over 3,000 over wave country. So we lose one ingredient, gain another. So it's kind of a flip-flop. That's whether or not perfectly aligned for both scenarios on Saturday and Sunday, but both, there's enough of either one that there can be the potential for some severe thunderstorm warnings. I hope that makes sense. The good news about that, it doesn't look to be an outbreak, but it can be busy at times. Now here are the soundings. This is for, on Saturday afternoon from the NAM model and the high-res NAM. You can see it's relatively saturated. There is a little bit of dry air aloft, but it is, when we look at the indices, Cape showing up about 2,000. Not much of a cap to limit anything. We've got -6 on the LI, so a lot of instability and energy to work with on Saturday afternoon, evening. And peat watts are there. Amount of moisture is there for some heavy downpour. So, yes, potential is there for some super weather based on that sounding alone. Now, on Sunday, what stands out is how dry the column does appear to be compared to Saturday. So not as much moisture to work with, but still unstable, especially when it comes to Cape. Still about 1,600. LI still at -6. PWATS less than an inch. So again, not as much moisture, but that would just mainly mean that the activities will be very spotty, not as widespread. a few isolated cells, but any one of those cells that develop can produce damaging winds and maybe some large hail based on what I'm looking here as well, because the freezing levels are down a little bit on Sunday. So we'll watch it and see how this all will play out. When I looked at the Schref ensemble models, this is your wind shear potential. It's roughly, it's hard to see here, but it's roughly in the 40 knot range here as we head into Saturday, closer to 50 though on Sunday. And your instability, as we saw in the NAM model, instability is there on Saturday, but higher on Sunday. All right, hope I didn't beat that dead horse to death there. All right, now next week for Derby week, we are going to be tracking that low that is eventually going to move out behind this system on Sunday. Question is, does that low stay to our south or does it pass through wave country before it heads to the eastern seaboard? The GFS was way to our south yesterday. Now it's shifting more toward I-40. Gives us a glancing blow of showers maybe Tuesday into Wednesday before the negative NEL begins to pull that north. And if you were watching last night on the blog, we were talking about how the opposite reaction pulls the trough down. We start to see that happen as we head into Wednesday and Thursday of next week for the boat race and the parade day. Bad news is for Oaks, it does like a dumbbell approach here with the trough. We see another low that kicks into it and then pulls down a trough with a wave of moisture along it. The moisture is going to be limited with that kind of a setup, but a few showers and clouds possible on Oaks Day, and there is some cooler air behind this, and that would set up shop for Derby Day. Now, how cool is questionable because at that point the low is going to quickly get out of here. The good indications that whatever cool shot of air is coming our way, it's going to be in and out. But we'll have to watch that rain chance as it does move in at some point, either on Thursday on Parade Day or Oaks Day is where it appears to be impacting us the most. By Derby Day, we begin to improve, and will likely improve even more for Mother's Day. All right, so here's the Euro. Just came in. It is mainly south of that low for Tuesday into Wednesday. Again, a few isolated showers can't keep the rain chance at zero. Got to put a small chance in. Then we see the front drop in as we head into Thursday, Parade Day into Oaks Day. It drops down the trough, but notice it pinches it off. It doesn't really have as more of a defined trough, which is certainly possible. We hinted that yesterday, but it brings it more over the Ohio Valley. Maybe some showers. Can't rule out a few isolated showers because we're going to be pretty cold aloft if this is the reality. And a lot of the cumulus field, stratocumulus, are pretty likely too. Temperatures, though, could be really cool. Maybe barely hitting the 60s on Oaks Day if that becomes a reality. Then on Derby Day, we begin to improve and move that low out when we begin to warm up. So the moral of the story here is this weekend, rainy on Saturday morning, thunderstorms Saturday afternoon, thunderstorms again Saturday night, thunderstorms got to watch out for Sunday. Monday and Tuesday and Wednesday, that low heads to our south, brief shower possible. Parade Day, Oaks Day, we get a trough that drops in. How much moisture is that going to have? It will drop our temperatures down during that period. Derby Day, that system moves out, we begin to warm up. That is how these pieces are going to fall, it looks like, over the next 7 to 8 days. That's a lot of moving pieces, so there is still decent margin of error to discuss on that. So stay close to the forecast, and we will keep you updated as we track each one of these pieces through time. All right, so enjoy this weekend. I know it's going to be rainy, but enjoy this weekend the best you can because it's not going to be a washout. There will be some times where it'll be sunny and warm. So when you have those little breaks, get out there and enjoy it. All right, we'll see you tonight on the news.